Over the course of me playing Forza Horizon 3, I've found some pretty nice unofficial circuits, and I've decided to share a couple of those with you today. So over my past couple videos, I've made it pretty well known that I'm not a huge fan of some of the circuits in the games. I do like a couple of them, like the Rolling Meadows circuit in Yarra Valley and the Highway circuit in the Outback are some of the ones that I do like to point out a couple. One of the problems I have with the tracks in the game right now are that I don't feel like they're really long enough per lap. I've made this point before in my other videos, but I feel like there should be some longer tracks in the game, and excluding the Goliath circuit that's like a 10 to 11 minute lap, or longer if you're in a lower class, there aren't really any to fill that gap. Usually you just get laps between 45 seconds and a minute and a half, and I just don't feel like that's a long enough lap for some of the faster cars in the game right now. The S2 class cars get so fast that some of them are just too much for the circuits that are in the game right now. So that's the purpose of the tracks I'm going to show you today. Just some longer tracks that you can enjoy with the faster cars in the game and have some fun hot lapping. That is the one kind of caveat with this, is that it is going to be hot lapping because they're not official tracks. You can't actually race other cars on them unless you go into an online free roam lobby with some friends. You're never actually going to be racing anyone around them. And even in that situation, it's going to be more of a street racing sort of situation because you'll have traffic cars. The way that I'm going to recommend to race these tracks is as a hot lapping session using the blueprint method to get into free roam without any traffic cars. And if you don't know what I'm talking about right now, I'm gonna show you real quick. So how you're gonna want to do this is you're gonna drive up to a bucket list event. You're gonna create a new blueprint for your bucket list. You're gonna want to set the route. I usually just throw it somewhere up in the corner of the map because that makes it easier. Turn weather to whatever you want, time of day to whatever you want, but the important part is to turn traffic off. That's how this works. Then you're going to confirm your blueprint, and that's all you need to know. So, the first circuit I've decided to show you today is the biggest one of the two I'm going to show you, and it's one I've decided to call Mountainside Circuit. I call it that because it surrounds the mountains in Yarra Valley. Pretty obvious name, I would think. You can see the layout of it here, and you can see roughly where the start-finish line would lay right here in the red circle. So, for both of the circuits I'm going to show you today, I'm going to talk over one lap, and then I'm going to just let you watch the second lap with the full sound and no interference from me. This circuit is one of the nicest circuits I think I've ever driven in this game. It's just so long and flowing, and everything goes together hand in hand, one corner after the other. It feels so nice, and I'm really upset that this never actually made it into the game as a full track. You can just see the speed that cars are able to pick up on this track, and this Bentley just never loses grip. It's really nice to drive around here. Some of these turns are just really nice, and you might know them well if you've played the Goliath circuit, because this runs right along the bottom of the track and utilizes a portion of the Goliath circuit for it. It utilizes a couple of the roads that are in the game. Oh, this hairpin here, this one's really nice. You can just get on the power right after you've turned around, and you spin up the wheels, and it's just really nice. This section through here, one hairpin right after another. It just feels good. But anyways, this track does utilize some of the other tracks in the game to make it up. But I can't believe that none of them were laid out like this one, just because it does flow so nicely together. It feels like it was laid out this way on purpose, but just never got added into the game. Right here, this section is a lot more tricky than it looks. Just a blend of throttle, lifting off, using the brake. It's really nice. I usually tend to be a little bit more cowardly through here than I need to be, but a lot of fun this section. Right down here, you're almost always going to wind up braking between that sign and the tractor somewhere, no matter what car you're using. I was a little bit late on the brakes and kind of spun up the wheels to get myself turned around there. But right up in here is another really nice flowing section. This part's used as a drift zone in the normal just free roam, but in this it just makes a really nice turn one after the other. So right now I'm just gonna stop talking and let you hear the car and watch the lap as it is. Alright, so this next one I'm gonna show you is one I like to call the Bay Town Circuit, because it runs straight through the main street and the main town in Byron Bay. Again, a pretty obvious name. So here you can see the layout of the track, and here you can see, again, roughly, just about where the start-finish line would settle. So for this one, I can't even really begin to explain how frustrating it was to try to record this. You can see I'm in a different car here. I'm in the Lamborghini Sesto Elemento. It's a great car, and I can't stress enough how good this track is. Again, like the last one, everything just flows really well together. But this one's certainly a lot more difficult to get consistent, and I learned that over the past couple days trying to get a lap in. The first day, I was still in the Bentley, and you'll see that later. I've got some bonus footage at the end of this. I could not get in a good 2 laps in a row. I would get in one good lap, and then either something would happen, or I would just mess up completely, and I wound up just quitting and waiting till the next day to record this. But this track is so much fun. It's a really rough circuit, and you can see that where I'm coming down right now. The elevation changes are all over the place. This right here sends you flying. You can go off course so easily there, and this turn right here is so much fun to do. When you get that turn right, it's amazing, but when you get it wrong, you go straight into the buildings. And right up through here, this is another really nice flowing section. You can just lift off the throttle and get through all these turns. It just feels really nice. In the Bentley, it was a little more consistent because I had a little more grip than I do in this car. And around this corner right here in the Bentley, you could be flat, but not this one. But anyways, here I'll let you hear the sound again. Alright, so this was pretty early on into recording the laps for this track. And I was doing okay because, again, it was early on. Nothing had really happened much at this point except I had had a few bad laps. And I noticed it was starting to get dark. I had set the blueprint for the bucket list to be an early afternoon like I normally do, but the game just decides, no, it's gonna get dark. And this isn't even as far as it goes. Right around this corner, we'll see the situation about a lap later, or exactly a lap later. And it's getting really dark now. I thought maybe it was getting a little bit lighter at this point and maybe I could deal with this. But then the game just decided, no, it's going all the way. It's gonna be pitch black. You can't see anything now. And at this point, I just can't even see the track. It's difficult enough to do this track on its own, but this track at night, that's a challenge. Here, this is much later on. I'm starting to get inconsistent. I just take a bad line out of this, off of the straight, if you can believe that. And I wind up going off into a tree. And then sudden fog. Where did this fog even come from? Again, I set weather to clear. This was only a couple minutes into this run, and it's just fog immediately. So I restart the event and try again later. So at this point I'm just starting to get inconsistent. I've been doing this for a couple hours and I'm just completely missing turns at this point. Then my computer starts messing up, the recording's messing up, I start freezing, stuttering. I just decide it's not worth it. What is this? Why are these lanes so wide? Why can I fit two wide cars, in the same lane like this? There's so much space here, why are they so wide?